Welcome back to Behind the Tab, a GoTab produced podcast that dives into the evolving world of hospitality through the lens of technology, creativity, and community. Each episode spotlights the game changing innovations, real world operator stories, and GoTab's own team members who are redefining what it means to serve and scale in modern food and beverage. Today, we have the pleasure of speaking with Ashley Owens, co-founder of CourtReserve, alongside GoTab's co-founder and CEO, Tim McLaughlin. Let's go. All right, we are back with Behind the Tab today. I am your host, Adam Howe, Director of Product Enablement here at GoTab, and I'm excited to talk with our guest today. Tim McLaughlin, of course, our co-founder with GoTab, has been on with me in the past, but excited to join us today is Ashley Owens. Hopefully you're excited to join us today.
I'm excited.
I shouldn't put words in your mouth, Ashley. Co-founder of CourtReserve, one of our strongest partners in the space, especially in the racket court space. And I can't just say pickleball anymore, right? It's like we're starting to see such a boom in all different types of racket sports, from padel to pickleball, a reemergence of tennis as well. We'll get into all that a little bit later. But Ashley, what I wanted to have our listeners start off with is hearing just a little bit about you, how you got into this space, why you're so ingrained in the space. And basically what we like to say is, like, what's your origin story here?
Okay. Well, thanks guys for letting me come on and have some time with you today. So the reason that Tim and I got into the CourtReserve journey, we were tennis players. We lived right outside of Charlotte, North Carolina, and we were full on USTA, North Carolina tournaments, captaining leagues out of the Charlotte area. We coached our kids. They all played high school tennis. And we would get in the car and drive 20 minutes to our own tennis club and put our name on the whiteboard for a court, and then wait for that court to become available. And there was no visibility to programming. If you wanted to get a lesson or figure out what's going on at the club, you had to know somebody, you had to be on the click. And so my husband, the smartest guy I know, he married me. But anyway, he was a software developer for a facility management company. And then I had a sales and marketing background. I was doing medical sales at the time. And so in our kitchen one day, we always kind of had this entrepreneurial spirit. We already had a tennis ladder software that was kind of in the works, and we were gaining some traction with that. And so we just whiteboarded in our kitchen what it would look like for a basic court reservation system, because we were not great friends with the owners of the club, but like we knew that they really didn't understand technology because they were coaches by trade. And so it just started as a basic court reservation software system. And we went out to a big conference in California, and we put CourtReserve on the silent auction block. And an amazing coach, Jason Spears, out of upstate New York, he has an academy up there. And he got CourtReserve for $75 for 6 months. And he started helping us build out the club side, the functionality side, what those admins and directors would need. And that was kind of how we got started.
Yeah, I mean, that's a classic move in general. I feel like, especially in this space, in the software space, of utilizing your early adopters to really help you flush out and build out what it is that you're actually providing, what solution you're actually providing. And you talked a lot about that in general. You and Tim, your husband,
Yes.
own and operate your own courts as well. Tim, I'm going to ask you as well, because as an operator in the hospitality space, doing hospitality SaaS software engineering, there's a unique opportunity there. So Ashley, why wasn't it enough to build a solution for other people that you're obviously, hopefully, using in your own space as well?
Yeah, so I'll go back to kind of how we got into pickleball. So CourtReserve started out as a tennis reservation court management software platform. And so when COVID hit, we started getting more and more pickleball clubs that were now starting up in this space. And so we learned how to play pickleball. And to be quite honest, once my husband picked up a pickleball paddle, he dropped the tennis racket for many, many years. And so finally he's coming back to the light, right? But it was interesting that we knew here in St. Augustine, we've been here almost 5 years now, there was no indoor pickleball anywhere in Florida, especially in North Florida. And so it was a great opportunity for us to, one, have a tiny little club, 2 courts, indoor, air conditioned in Florida, which is fantastic. But it also allowed us to have like a lab, like a hands-on lab to push out all that new CourtReserve functionality. So we could test it with our players, test it with our director, test it with our instructors. So before we're pushing out this functionality to the entire CourtReserve ecosystem, we're playing with it and we're making sure that this is the right kind of technology and there's no bugs and, things like that. So it's a great learning lab for us to use, but it's also been a lot of fun. We built a ton of great community here in St. Augustine. And honestly, I mean, once you play indoors, and it is a whole new ball game to go back outdoors and play pickleball after you played indoors. So
yeah, you got a lot of elements you need to take into account, I'm sure.
Yes.
The heat, like you said, in Florida specifically, the heat, I'm sure, plays quite a
Yes.
bit of is a big factor. Tim, I mean, you're very similarly within Caboose, your 2 brewery location out in Virginia. I know that you spend a lot of time. We spend a lot of time with GoTab, kind of testing out those things. But what kind of trends have you kind of seen in this space, in the software space, especially when it comes to hospitality, whether it be entertainment or restaurants or what have you, that the operator actually spends more time developing the software than just being a software, tech?
I mean, so my story is compared to the other Tim is very similar. I'm a software developer. I own 2 breweries. Comically, they started because of my cycling habit, because I live on a trail. And now, in fact, my wife runs those 2 breweries. So I have a slightly different dynamic in the sense that my wife is fully in charge of that, and I work the software company. But the net is the same. I come home and I go there for dinner. I swear, I kid you not, my son, I think, eats there every second meal. But we see a lot. You learn all the things that work. You learn all the things that don't. I think you kind of, in our business, you have to be half operator, half technologist. It's actually, I can't imagine how hard it must be to be just one. And that's actually true of either side. Being a pure technologist would be really hard to understand the problems of an operator, and being just an operator without a technology background would be really hard to be successful. It's a similar, I mean, it's a very similar experience. And mine, my only difference is I get yelled at because my client is my wife. So,
well, at least you have that,
That's right.
Insight there. Ashley, you had some very exciting news recently out of CourtReserve, generating a $54 million growth investment. Extremely exciting. Can you share a little bit about the insights of the process and deciding what that funding would look like at this stage in CourtReserve's lifespan?
Yeah, sure. So we're going on 10 years at CourtReserve, and our motto was always "the dream is not for sale." But this past summer, our CTO was here, and Tim and him, and we sat down and we started talking about what the grind is for a business like ours. We've been grinding for 9 years as of last summer. And do we want to just keep grinding? Do we want to just keep, slowly growing? Or do we really want to pour some gasoline on the rocket ship and just send this thing to space? We have so many wishes and wants from our own club admins and our own directors who are like, hey, CourtReserve's great, but it'd be great if it could do this and this and this and be an all-in-one. And let's do some golf and let's do some over here. And so it was really a decision that if we were going to continue to have the culture that we have, build the community of clubs and facilities, continue to, keep people happy and keep helping modify the software to, work for their business, then we were going to need some additional help. So Mainsail Partners has been a godsend. They have been an amazing partner for us already, and they're just coming alongside of us and just believing in everything that we're doing, giving us great opportunities. And so we're really excited about the future. We are hiring some folks, which is always needed usually. And then we're able to sit back and not only work on the business, but work in the business too, right? So we have a lot of operational things that we're doing now to not only grow CourtReserve, the software, but like have advisory boards for folks like Tim and, what does he need to, use the CourtReserve software, other things, educate our own admins, right? We're going to take CourtReserve around the country again this year in several different cities and let admins come to us close by and spend a day with us and learn more about how to use CourtReserve. So it's all those little things that are just part of why we did the deal.
I mean, Tim, in this space as a software engineer, self-proclaimed, you've seen a lot of trends happen in this space: hospitality tech, entertainment tech, et cetera, especially within this time frame that Ash was talking about in this 10-year span. What kind of trends do you start seeing out of software companies in like being hyper-focused or being an all-in-one? Ashley, you talked about the possibility of expanding CourtReserve's capabilities and being an all-in-one. At least these are the suggestions that you've been getting in your ear. Tim, have you noticed kind of like trends in this space in going in one direction or the other?
I mean, we're in a roll-up period right now. I mean, if you went back 5, maybe 10 years ago, I would say more 5 to like 2020. Those are the go-go days where everybody had a startup and everybody had, a pile of $3 to $5 million. Problems that money ran out. So a lot of technologies getting, stitched together under one umbrella, or unfortunately some are just getting wound down. So I mean, kudos to the CourtReserve team, because they're clearly a platform that's going to probably, I wouldn't be surprised if these are only guesses. I wouldn't be surprised if they did some acquisitions or if they did some things to actually sort of accelerate the growth and smooth out those integration lines too, right? So frankly, we're doing the same. We acquired a company last year. I do foresee another acquisition in our near future. But our operators just want it to be easier, right? And that's the same thing Ashley's talking about. It's like, how do I don't want to, fight with this to that or all these different lines.
Yes, how do you reduce the friction, right?
Yeah. Correct.
How do you make it easier for people to be able to do everything they need to do without logging into 5 different applications?
Correct. Yeah. And there's a balance, right? It's like there's companies in our space, and I'd love to hear your opinion, Ashley. There's companies in the POS space where they're like, you need to buy everything from us, and there's no way we're going to let you plug in other systems. I won't say their name, but they're very big, right? And it's kind of a classic model as you get big, as you wall off the garden. And you start telling all your operators, like, it's my way or the highway. Tough. You get to buy a 50% solution for twice the price, right?
Well, you got to have people have choice, right? People have to be able to still have choices. And so when you acquire, right, but you can still integrate as well. I mean, that's the beauty, because then people can do what they want to do to run their business the way they want to run it. And so I'm with you all the way.
Yeah, I think it's the way it should be. I think, unfortunately, I think the real change probably happens when you start answering to the street on quarterly numbers. It's like, well, how do I juice my profit? Well, I close the gates and I figure out how to extract more profit from my existing customers. But neither of us are there, so I can make fun of it, at least for now.
Right.
But Tim, a lot of what you alluded to here was the whole idea of integrating with other systems to solve a solution. Ashley, you pointed that out. It's like you want to be able to create less friction, and you want to be able to create more of a relationship between softwares that solves different solutions. So, I mean, Tim, we do this a lot with GoTab, and we've had a long-standing relationship with CourtReserve with an integrated partnership with the platform. Talk to me a little bit about some of the things that I going this because we're talking about investments, right? We're talking about investing in other companies, but partnerships is another form of investment. You have to invest a lot of time, a lot of development, a lot of brain power, a lot of money usually as well. How do you go about choosing what that relationship, how you're going to use that relationship capital, that developmental capital, and what was it about CourtReserve that you saw as a potential, meld that would make a lot of sense?
Is that for me or sorry?
Yeah, it was for you. Sorry, that was for you to start.
CourtReserve was honestly our first play into this space. We saw the same growth just much later, and we kept getting operators who were pickleball venues who wanted to have elevated F&B. And so I think mutually, honestly, I remember the very first story because, CourtReserve was kind of standoffish, like, I don't really know, but we had some operators undoubtedly who were like, hey, you need to do this. We need a better option. Not to say that they're POS, but like, we do very sophisticated systems. If you need more depth, that's when you go buy a dedicated system. So from our perspective, we approach a lot of operators a lot of partners who have a POS, and we say, hey, when you need more, we would like to just be that optional plugin so that someone can say, I need more than this cash register functionality. I really need this full suite of software. So we actually have a lot of partners who are theoretically competitors, like because they have a POS and they take payments and all this sort of stuff. But in practice, to Ashley's point, like one size doesn't fit all. And so that's very much been our philosophy. We acquired a company last year that competes with some of our partners, but that in no way closed any doors. So I didn't mean to step on Ashley's toes, though. I was unsure of where we're going.
This leads me to kind of the question, Ashley, you kind of alluded to some of the reasons why you took this funding as well, but what's next? Like, what do you do with $54 million, or what's the plan here? And you don't get to obviously get into any very specific details, but like, what kind of an impact does this kind of funding have on your overall operations, your development, your partners, your employees? What do you see this doing for you guys?
Yeah, I think that back to what Tim said, it's being able to have relationships in the industry with integration partners that we want to work with, right? And able to give choice to folks, spending more time on those integrations, making sure before we push a new feature out, we have another set of eyes on it, right? Taking the time to step back instead of pushing stuff out before running it through QA and all of that. And I just think it's an overall strategy to continue marching forward as the best facility management software that we can be in our space.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Behind the Tab. We will continue the conversation with Ashley and Tim in our next episode. So keep on subscribing and reviewing and listening wherever you get your podcasts, and make sure you let us know how we're doing. Visit us over at gotab.com, book a full demo, and check out everything that we're doing over there and on our YouTube page. We'll talk to you next time.